Hello, today we are going to do a project that is fun and seasonal. We're going to be making a haunted house, but we're going to be taking a little different twist on this. We are going to be painting, but not with watercolors or acrylics or anything like that. We're going to be painting with instant coffee. You can use many different herbs and spices and coffee to make your own simple paint. Now, obviously, it's only going to come out in brown, right? You're not going to have a lot of different colors, but it's a really good way to study value. And what I mean by that is that you can have lighter browns, middle brown, dark brown. So you can get a variety of quote-unquote colors just by using one color. And with watercolor, the way that you do that is that you add more water or less water depending on the shade that you want. All right? So our supplies for today include instant coffee. Here's what it looks like out of the jar. We need 3 containers to mix up our various shades of brown. You need a piece of paper that is mixed media or watercolor paper. And we're going to be having our paper landscape for this project. I think it's also a good idea to have, if you have any leftover paper around, to have this off to the side so that you can test out the strength of the brown before you put it on your project. And then we just need a variety of brushes and some paper towels, which I will grab right here and just, all right, piece of paper towel. Okay, so again, simple. Now we're going to do landscape so that we can have our house here, the land here, and maybe a tree or two on either side. I'm going to demonstrate how to do this. We're not going to draw with a pencil first. We're just going to draw with our paintbrushes. But first of all, we're going to mix up our paint. So what we need to do is add some coffee grounds to each of our small containers. And we do want some that's left over that's just dry that we'll use in a little bit. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start painting with a medium shade. So we're going to add a little bit of water to this. Take a paintbrush and kind of mix it up. And the coffee will dissolve. It smells like we're brewing a cup of coffee in the studio right now. Okay, so then we want to test out. I'm going to move our official paper out. So then what we're going to do is test that concoction out on our paper. And you'll see that we have a nice medium brown, right? Okay. So then we're going to pull out our second cup. Oh, excuse me. Went for the coffee instead of the water. And we want to go for a lighter brown. So we will add more water. This feels a little bit like a science experiment, doesn't it? So I'm going to add more water to that. Now you notice that I have added much more water to this than to my first one, so it should come out lighter. If not, I'll add some more water. See how it's come out lighter? All right, so that's number 2. So that's lightest, medium, and now we're going for dark. So that means I'm going, whoops, just knock that over. I was afraid I would do that. I'm going to add very little water to this. I'm going to move this off to the side. So your paint should be not only thicker, but much darker. And again, if you've added, by accident, you add too much water, that's no problem. We'll just add more coffee to it until we get just the right shade. Not sure why my coffee is clumping up there, but I'll keep working it. Or I'll just put that clump off to the side. Now, let's see what we've got going on here. Oh, yes. Darker. All right. So see, we've basically created 3 different, and I'm using this in quotes, colors just by adding more or less water. So I'm going to clean out my brush. I'm going to set all of this out. So this is the darker. This is the medium, and this is the light. So I'm going to keep those in some sort of order there. And here's my test sheet. I'm going to put it off to the side. All right, so like I said, we're going to draw with our paintbrush. And the first thing that we want to do, we're going to be working with the medium. And I'm going to get my brush just a little wet and then dry it off so that it's just damp. Okay. And I want to do our horizon line first. So that's going to go side to side. I'm going to draw with our mid-range. Okay. And then I'm going to do the main part of our house. This will be like the entryway. And we're going to make this really simple because we're learning a new technique. So we're going to keep it simple. And then we will, if you like painting with coffee, you can just grab a piece of paper and draw anything you want. So we're going to draw, most haunted houses have like tall, skinny parts to it, right? I'm going to put a chimney on it. Let's put a chimney on this one. Old houses had lots of chimneys. And you want these sections of the house to be different heights, different widths, just to give it some visual interest. I haven't painted with coffee for a while. I forgot how much I like it. Maybe it's the smell. Then we'll put another roof line right there to sort of tie that all together. Oh, let's put a chimney on this one too. Okay, so there's our basic house shape. Now we're going to put a tree, and we're going to continue to draw with our medium color. So we're going to do the trunk. I'm not going to put any leaves on it because not having leaves on it gives it more of a haunted feel, right? So think about what makes things haunted looking, and it's broken windows, hanging shutters. Put some scraggly sort of branches here. Trees can be kind of random. And then we'll fill in our tree with our brown, and we'll be adding some darker to it when we're going back with our other shades. Okay, so now let's go back to our house. We can start adding some details. And if you want, you can pick up a slightly smaller brush to put in the windows. And so that was more of a medium brush, so you can pick up a smaller brush. We're still going to work with our medium shade. So let's put a piece of fuzz there. Let's put a door. And we'll start with our doors and windows. We can have our windows at an angle. You don't have to be perfect. This is an old, unloved house, right? You can make it look like there are broken window panes. I fixed up a house that looked like this when I started out. Let's put a different kind of window here. Some of the old houses have some interesting shaped windows. Plus it just gives a little bit of variety. So we'll put a little line here like that window is broken. Okay, I'm liking this. It looks kind of craggy and that kind of thing. All right, so now let's add some shutters. And we're going to have the shutters like they're broken off. This one's I'm going to make it so it's just barely hanging on. Now you can add different details. It's really whatever you want to add to it. Okay, so now we're going to go back into our darker value of brown, and we're going to work on excuse me, the roofs. sure that you're getting a darker value for this. If not, just go ahead and add some more coffee. You might have to stir up your concoction again. Try not to paint over the lines that you've already painted so that we can keep those various shades of brown distinct. Okay, 2 more roofs to go here. Okay, now I want to add some different shadows to my tree, so it's not just all one brown. So on the underside of the branches, you can do that. Okay, so when you're happy with your tree, I'm never happy with trees that I make, so I could just fuss with that all day. But we will move on. Okay, so now we finally want to get to the lighter color. And I just want to double check to make sure that it stayed light, that it didn't cure anything. Yep, it did. All right, so now we're going to paint the actual side of the house. And again, you don't want to go over your lines, because if you do, they will sort of start blending in and you'll lose that crispness. So go around your lines. You don't have to cover every little bit. Just kind of get down in there in those little areas. And I think I'm going to leave the chimneys white, maybe put some line work on them. Otherwise, this is going to get kind of lost on behind that other roof line. So I'll play around with that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my smaller brush and work on those chimneys. Maybe put some lines like brickwork. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, so we've got our house done. We've got our tree almost done. So now we are going to work on the ground. So we are going to have our medium. Well, no, let's work with our light first. And I'm going to pick up a little bigger brush. And I'm going to create a walkway. Now, as the walkway gets closer to the viewer, it will get bigger. Okay, so it should be skinny up here and larger down here. And then we're going to, again, I'm using our light, but in order to create some interest, we're going to take some dry grounds and we're going to sprinkle them. Okay. The areas where you sprinkle, you want it to be nice and wet. I'm going to sprinkle that area a little bit. So you can see how they're starting to dissolve and make interesting textures. Okay, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more. Don't want to overdo it with the sprinkles. These are just little accents. Add a little bit more. And I'll put some over here. Okay. Try not to paint over the lines you've already painted. Okay, so now I'm going to wet my brush a little bit more so I can get a little lighter shade here. And then I can go back to a little darker shade. We want variation down here. And if you want to do a little more sprinkles, you can do that there. That might be too dry over there, but I can add just a little bit more water. So as you're looking at your landscape, if you see some places where it would be nice to have a little different color, some textures, you notice I'm, instead of brushing, I'm sort of pouncing again. You can go over your sprinkles a little bit. There we go. So now we have some interesting, I'm going to kind of get off some of that extra so I don't make blotches. Okay, so now we want to add a little bit of water to our lightest shade. And this is going to be the sky. And what I want to do is keep a I want it to be pretty wet so we can get that light. And we want to make a moon by not painting a certain area. Okay? So we want this to be very wet, but we want to look like kind of an ominous sky, right? And you can let some white through just to kind of lighten it up even more. Try not to go over your already painted lines. Okay, and now we just let it dry. Now, after it's dried just a little, the background's dried just a little bit, you can take your medium again, and you can add some more little branches if you want. Wanted to do these over, do this part, excuse me, after painting the background, because it just makes it easier to paint the background without going around all these branches. All right, project complete. I hope you enjoyed that. And maybe it started some ideas going around in your brain about how you can use coffee to paint other scenes. Thank you.